It's 6 o'clock. At this time, I'll call the regular meeting of the Perry City Council, March 15, 2016 to order. We have a quorum. Item 3 is the invocation and the pledge of allegiance to the flag. If you would, please rise. I would like to call on Brother Willie J. King, Senior Pastor of Faith Bible Fellowship and a faithful councilman, to give us the invocation.
Let's bow our heads, please. Father God, we thank you so much for the opportunity that we're able to serve our community. I pray you continue to give us wisdom as we make decisions, Lord. We know coming up, Lord, we have to make decisions on our budget and different things going on in our community. Lord, I'm asking you right now, as we work together as a team, and we know, Father, that you'll direct our hearts. We give you the praise, we give you the glory. In Jesus' name, we do pray. Amen.
Amen. I'd like to call on Councilman William Jackson to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Item 4, presentations and proclamations. We have 2. The first is presentations relative to the Perry Police Department state certification. Chief Lynn.
Thank you, Mayor, Mayor, Council, Mayor, for joining me. I appreciate it. And Captain Bud, Corporal Fowler, if you come forward. Every 3 years, the department undergoes a certification assessment, and we just got awarded our 4th recertification. It's an important program that's overseen by the Georgia Association of Chiefs of Police, and there's 126 standards that we are held accountable to. And the reason these 2 gentlemen are up here is it falls under Captain Buck's division to make sure this happened, and it falls specifically to Corporal Fowler as our state certification manager to make sure we're in compliance with all 126 standards all the time. It's not just something you do a month or 2 before they come check. You have to do it continuously because they come back and check proofs ever since the last certification assessment. And if we're not in compliance, some things we can fix on the fly. Other things, if we haven't done it, we lose our certification. Less than 20% of the agencies, of the 628 agencies in Georgia, are state certified. It's a rigorous process. It's a good thing for the city. It helps limit our liability. It helps with our insurance coverage. It helps make us a better, more transparent, more professional agency. So we've gotten the plaques in, and I wanted to, if you would, Mayor, this is the one, we'll let Captain Bug get that. That's the overall one saying that we've been recertified, and we're good through 2018. And this is the one that the Chief Association gives specifically to the certification manager, so that's to Corporal Brett Fowler. That is his primary job. It's not his only job. He wears a lot of hats, just like a lot of people at Perry PD do. But he is the one, I guess, besides, I guess it's my responsibility as well, but making sure that we have all the proofs in order and that we've done what we're supposed to do.
Next, we have a proclamation that recognizes National Essential Tremor Awareness Month. Mr. Bryant, will you join us, please? I want you to hold that real quick. And I wanted to read this. In the city of Perry, a proclamation recognizing National Essential Tremor Awareness Month. Whereas essential tremor is the most common neurological movement disorder affecting nearly 10 million Americans. And whereas essential tremor is frequently misdiagnosed as Parkinson's disease, and the condition is often characterized by rhythmic, involuntary, and uncontrollable shaking of the hands and arms during movement, but can also affect the head, voice, legs, and trunk. And whereas essential tremor is not life-threatening and is not a normal outcome of aging, as believed by many people, but is an abnormal condition, primarily genetic, affecting people of all ages, including newborns. And whereas essential tremor is a serious and progressive condition that can significantly affect a person's quality of life, socially, professionally, and emotionally, and people with essential tremor often have difficulty with everyday activities such as getting dressed, eating, drinking, speaking, or writing. And whereas the International Essential Tremor Foundation was founded in 1988 and is the leading organization in the world dedicated to helping those affected by essential tremor through awareness, education, support, and funding research to identify effective treatments and, hopefully, a cure for the condition. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and City Council of the City of Perry, Georgia, hereby recognize and designate March as Essential Tremor Awareness Month to help raise awareness about the nation's #1 neurological condition affecting approximately 10 million Americans, and to encourage people to support the observance of National Essential Tremor Awareness Month by participating in the educational activities of the International Essential Tremor Foundation. So proclaimed this 15th day of March 2016, signed James E. Fairclough Jr., Mayor, City of Perry, Georgia. Thank you very much for bringing this to our attention.
Thank you so much. I
And
appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
If I could just take a minute.
Absolutely.
I just want to briefly say this is something that I was diagnosed with at age 13, and I've had it my entire life, though, so I am one of the newborns that actually has had it. You probably can notice that as I hold this, I'm actually shaking. Not because I'm nervous, because I do theater, so it's not something that makes me nervous to stand up here and talk to you, but it's something that is 4 times more common than Parkinson's disease, but yet 10 million Americans are suffering from it on a daily basis. And unlike Parkinson's, it's present when we're doing things. And it really is something that affects us socially and mentally. And many people are as a result, are confined to their homes because they don't even want to go out because we're so worried about people bringing attention to it. But thankfully, there is a wonderful support group that is out there for us. But there's no support group locally. And I'm hoping that through awareness, I can create one here in Houston County, because there are several of us that are having to go to places outside of the area. There are not many good neurologists in our area, so I have to go all the way to Emory University for my treatments several times a year. And I take about 10 pills a day just so my can be controlled. I mean, it's getting that serious. And my biggest fear is what's going to happen to me, years down the road, because I was diagnosed at an early age. But thank you again, Mayor and Council, for recognizing Central Tremor Awareness Month, because without you, we can't even get awareness out there. So I thank you so much.
Good luck to you.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Item 5 are appointments to boards, authorities, and commissions. Item 5A, we have a couple of appointments to the Housing Authority for the City of Perry. Council, you will see in your information that we have 2 letters from the Housing Authority from the chairman, Mr. Ed Beckham. The first one is we are being asked to appoint Dr. Marion Ford as the board commissioner for the Perry Housing Authority. Council, at this time, if you should so desire, I will entertain a motion that we appoint Dr. Marion Ford as board commissioner for the Perry Housing Board.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. That's hard to say.
Yes.
We had a discussion briefly upstairs about how we take votes. There's been a lot of information relegated to open meetings and open records by state law. We want to make sure that we do it just for what it's worth, and this is information that you don't really care about, but I'm going to tell you anyway. The City of Perry's charter technically calls for a voice vote. This is my 7th year as mayor. That's the first time in those 7 years so far that I've ever had a voice vote. I generally ask council to raise their hand, and they do. Most of the time it's unanimous. When it's not, I identify the person who either votes no or abstains, and then call the vote. Most of the time it still passes. But in order to be technically correct, I want to make sure that we not only conform to what our charter says, but also to the current letter of the law with the open meetings law. So therefore, there will be a voice vote, and if there's a dissension, there will be a roll call voice vote. And so that we can be in keeping with the current law and the interpretation of the letter of the law. So Hobart's going to make sure that we do it right, and we have done it right in the past. Our minutes are correct as stand, and they do conform from that standpoint. So more information than you ever wanted, but that's why I did that. Council, you also have before you a letter from the board chairman, Mr. Ed Beckham, requesting that we reappoint Ms. Phyllis Ingram as a resident commissioner. At this time, I'll entertain a motion that we appoint Ms. Phyllis Ingram as a resident commissioner for the Peering Housing Authority Board.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. That's going to be hard to remember. Y'all have to bear with me. Thank you. Item 6 are citizens with input. Is there anyone present tonight who wishes to address council on any item at this time? Please come forward and state your name and address.
Darlene McLendon. I reside at 1108 Washington Street, and I'm president of the Chamber of Commerce. I did just want to make sure that y'all are aware and remind you about this Saturday's activities on the 900 block of Carroll Street, our Perry Proud kickoff for the Dogwood Festival. 10 to 1, come have your cars painted. Got a good example outside if you need to see it.
The car windows, correct?
Car windows, yes. It's the windows, not your paint job. A lot of the downtown merchants, we partner with the Downtown Merchants Association, and a lot of them are offering discounts or specials, and it'll be listed on the back of the coupon that you'll get when you get your car painted. Also, tomorrow we have Business of the Month, and that is at 2 p.m. I'd like to make sure that you know you are cordially invited to join us at Church Home. So please join us as we award them as Business of the Month for March. And I just wanted to make sure that y'all are aware of those. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you very much. Thank you for what you and the chamber does for this community. Would anyone else like to address council? Thank you. Item 7, a consent agenda item. Item 7A, council, for your consideration, you have been provided the minutes of the February 29th, 2016 work session, the March 1st, 2016 pre-council meeting, and the March 1st, 2016 council meeting. At this time, I will entertain a motion that we approve these minutes as presented.
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Are there any additions, deletions, changes, or corrections, or discussion of any of these minutes at this time? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 8 is old business. Item 8A is any old business from the mayor. I have none. Item 8B is old business from council members. Ms. Bynum Grace? Mr. Jones? Mr. Walker? Mr. Hunt?
No, sir.
Mr. Jackson?
No, sir.
Mr. King?
No, sir.
Thank you. Item 8C is any other old business from the city manager, Mr. Gilmore. Thank you. Item 8D is any old business from the city attorney, Mr. Holbert.
No, sir.
Thank you. Item 9 is new business. Item 9A are matters that have been referred from yesterday or last night's March 14th, 2016 work session and today, March 15th, 2016 pre-council meeting we had at 5 o'clock. We have a couple of items that have been referred from last night's work session. 9A1, council, you have before you a resolution that establishes a street striping policy for the city of Perry. This resolution says, a resolution establishing a policy for street marking, whereas the council desires to have its major roadways clearly marked in the interest of safety and efficiency, and whereas certain city streets, by their design and location, handle a higher traffic volume. Now therefore be it resolved by the city of council that only those streets classified as collector or arterial by the Department of Community Development shall be marked or striped according to best management practices. Mr. Gilmore, do you have anything to add?
No, sir.
Thank you. Council, you have before you the resolution. We had this discussion last evening concerning the striping of arterial and, what was the other one? Collector, thank you, roads, as specific designations. If you so desire, at this time I will entertain a motion that we adopt this resolution as read.
So move.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Sorry.
That's right. I'm trained. Well trained.
Item 9A2, council, you have before you a resolution that will adopt the City of Perry's branding initiative. Mr. Gilmore, I will read the resolution, but Mr. Gilmore. Thank you, Mr. Gilmore. Council, the resolution states as follows. A resolution adopting the Branding Perry, Georgia 2016 initiative. Whereas the city has developed a Perry strategic brand platform, and whereas after the experiencing, evaluating, and expressing brand initiative phases, the city is ready to engage. Now therefore be it resolved by the council of the city of Perry that the city of Perry adopts and supports the brand story, tagline, and logo as presented in the 2016 study by Chandler Thinks as outlined in Exhibit A, hereby made a part of the resolution. Further, the council commits the city to fully support its part in branding initiative. The Department of Economic Development is the liaison department, and a council liaison is designated to ensure implementation. Council, you've heard the explanation. We have talked about this and heard the presentation from Mr. Smith, the Economic Development Director, and we will be seeing this, assuming this vote passes, in many months to come through its implementation. Therefore, at this time, I will entertain a motion that we adopt this resolution that adopts the City of Perry's branding initiative as described and read.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say aye. Motion carries unanimous. It's hard not to do.
Yes.
Thank you. Council, you may remember that as a part, since the motion passed unanimously, part of this that we have passed is designating a liaison from City Council to ensure implementation, among other things. With your concurrence at this time, I would like to designate the Mayor Pro Tempore, Randall Walker, to be that designee. Will you accept?
Yes.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank
We made it.
How's the pay going?
Pay goes up accordingly.
Yes.
We were joking upstairs, if anybody objected, they were next on the list of being a designee, so there was no objection. Mr. Gilmore, is there anything further from last night's work session that we need to address at this time?
No, sir.
Thank you. Item 9B, well, back up. Was there anything from today's pre-council meeting that we need to address at this time?
No, sir.
Thank you. Item 9B are resolutions for consideration and adoption. Item 9B, 1A, B, and C have to do with the Perry Housing Team. We'll do them one at a time. Item 9B, 1A is a resolution authorizing the submission of a community development block grant application to the Georgia Department of Community Affairs for funding of housing rehabilitation and reconstruction. Mr. Gilmore. Thank you. Mr. Holbert, we need to adopt these individually, do we not?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gilmore. Is there any questions of council to Mr. Gilmore concerning this first resolution? Hearing none at this time, council, I will entertain a motion that we adopt the resolution that authorizes the submission of a community development block grant application to the Georgia Department of Community Affairs for the funding of the housing rehabilitation and reconstruction as described.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. 9A, 9B, 1B is a resolution authorizing the submission of a community home investment program application to the Georgia Department of Community Affairs for funding of housing rehabilitation and reconstruction. Mr. Gilmore. Thank you, Mr. Gilmore. Council, you have heard the information from staff as Mr. Gilmore has described. Are there any questions of Mr. Gilmore concerning this particular resolution? Hearing none, at this time I will entertain a motion that we adopt the resolution that authorizes submission of a community home investment program application to the Georgia Department of Community Affairs for funding of housing rehabilitation and reconstruction as described.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say aye. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you. Item 9B1C is a resolution that authorizes the submission of an application to the Georgia Department of Community Affairs to receive Revitalization Area Strategies designation. Mr. Gilmore. Thank you, Mr. Gilmore. Does council have any questions of Mr. Gilmore concerning this resolution? Hearing none, council, at this time I will entertain a motion that we adopt this resolution authorizing the submission of an application to the Georgia Department of Community Affairs to receive Revitalization Area Strategies designation as described.
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 9B2. Council, you have before you a resolution to authorize the execution of the Georgia Municipal Association Lease Supplement and Project Fund Agreement for 2016 equipment financing. Ms. King.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, as Mayor just stated, the resolution before you is to authorize the mayor, city manager, and the clerk to execute the lease supplement and the BB&T project for an agreement for the 2016 equipment that was purchased this year in the amount of $921,578 at a rate of 1.77% for a 3-year term.
Thank you, Ms. King. Does any member of council have any questions of Ms. King at this time? Thank you, ma'am. Council, you've heard the request. At this time, I will entertain a motion that we adopt this resolution to authorize the execution of the Georgia Municipal Association Lease Supplement and Project Fund Agreement for 2016 equipment financing for $921,578.45 at the interest rate of 1.77% as described.
So moved.
Thank you. I didn't want to say anything. That's right. There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. King. 9C is the award of bids. 9C1 is bid number 2016-1. This is for a Limley Pump Station improvements. Mr. Aaron.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. The city solicited bids from contractors for diesel pump with a separate control panel to provide power to the Limley Pump Station in the event the station lost power. I received 2 bids, and we're recommending that we go with the lowest bidder, Sam Hall & Son, at a price of $113,654.
Thank you, Mr. Aaron. Mr. Gilmore, what's the source of the funding for this? Thank you. Council, do you have any questions of Mr. Aaron or Mr. Gilmore concerning this particular bid? Hearing none, at this time, council, I will entertain a motion that we award this bid, number 2016-1, for the Limley Pump Station improvements to the low bidder of Sam Hall & Sons Incorporated out of Macon, Georgia for $113,654 as described.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Aaron. Item 9D, we are being asked to consider approval of a revised GEMA statewide mutual aid agreement. Chief Gray.
Yes, sir. Mayor and Council, this is the document that allows us the opportunity to request mutual aid for fire, law enforcement, or public works from other municipalities and county governments in the state that have signed a similar agreement. It also puts us in the position that if they request mutual aid from us, we will in turn supply that depending upon our own abilities. Of course, if we were besieged with our own disaster, we're not going to be expected to go, but any other time we would be. The document's been signed for the last couple of years, and eventually this will be the only mutual aid agreement that we have to maintain. Right now we maintain county and city individual mutual aid agreements, and this will eventually do away with all the paperwork for this.
Everything is in order based on your review of this document?
Yes, sir, we're in good shape, and it also gives you the ability to identify the authorized persons who can authorize or request mutual aid, and also the person authorized to receive reimbursement if the event we went to is a reimbursable event.
Very good. Thank you, Chief. Council, do you have any questions of Chief Gray concerning this particular agreement? Hearing none. At this time, council, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the revised Georgia Emergency Management Association statewide mutual aid agreement as described.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Chief. Item 10 is other business in the supplemental agenda. Item 10A, we have cost estimates for proposed improvements at the public safety building. Mr. Aaron.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Staff solicited quotes for 2 improvement projects at the police department. The first was for the painting of the front of the police department, repairing the brick stoop and remodeling the small kitchen in the hall. We received 2 quotes, one from Myers Construction for $8,540. The second was CIS Construction, $12,480. Staff is recommending that we go with the lowest bidder, Myers Construction, at a cost of $8,540. The second project was the remodel of a small bathroom in the police department. And once again, we received 2 quotes. From Myers Construction was $12,800. CIS Construction was $12,180. The staff is recommending that we go with Myers Construction due to the fact that they'll provide a bench in the bathroom area to be used by staff.
Thank you, Mr. Aaron. Does any member of council have any questions of Mr. Aaron concerning this proposal? Chief Lynn, is there anything you want to add?
No, sir.
Thank you.
You covered it quite well.
Thank you. Council, I'm going to, just for my sake, I'm going to ask you to vote twice because it's 2 bids for 2 different things. Is that correct, Mr. Aaron?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. The first is a proposal to, I forgot what it was for and how much it is. What was the first one for, Mr. Aaron? I'm sorry.
It's going to be painting the front of the police department, repairing the brick stoop, and remodeling the small kitchen in the hall. And we're recommending that we go to the lowest bidder, Myers Construction, at a cost of $8,540.
Okay, thank you, sir. Council, you've heard the recommendation from Mr. Aaron, and we've discussed this. At this time, I'll entertain a motion that we award the bid for this project as described to Myers Construction in the amount of $8,540.
Second.
The motion and a second. Mr. Gilmore, what's the source of funding for these?
This will be from the Capital Projects Construction Fund.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Council, you've heard before you from Mr. Aaron a proposal to remodel a small bathroom. Is that correct?
Yes.
In the same or close to a similar location, and the recommendation is to award the bid to Myers Construction for $12,800. It is not the low bidder, but they are doing some extra work in there that would encompass the additional cost. Is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Having heard all of that, council, at this time I'll entertain a motion that we award this bid to Myers Construction in the amount of $12,800 as described.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Aaron. Item 11 are department head items from the police department. Chief Lynn? Thank you. From the Department of Finance and Administration, Ms. King? Thank you. From the Department of Leisure Services, Mr. Dye?
Yes, just one thing, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just wanted to remind everyone that we are planning a kids fishing rodeo Saturday, April 23rd. We will get started around 10 a.m. And we have added a public movie similar to what we did in the fall for Friday the 22nd. Showtime will be anticipated at dawn. Thank you, sir.
Very good. From the Department of Public Works, Mr. Aaron?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Just want to remind everyone that the city's bagging initiative starts on Monday, March 21st. And the process is that you have to have at least 5 bags, and all loose debris that's capable of being bagged has to be bagged as well. And if you meet those requirements, you get a $3 weekly credit. If you meet it on a weekly basis, you get a $3 credit on the garbage fee.
Thank you, sir. Please let us know how that comes out.
Yes.
From the Department of Fire and Emergency Services, Chief Gray?
Nothing, sir.
Thank you. That's all the department heads. Item 12 are council member items. Ms. Bynum Grace? Mr. Jones? Mr. Walker?
Thank you. Good. Thank you.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Hunt?
No, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Jackson?
No, sir.
Thank you. Mr. King?
No, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Gilmore, do you have anything for us?
No, sir.
And Mr. Holbert?
No, sir.
Thank you. Item 13 are general public items. Is there any member of the public present who wishes to address council on any item at this time? Yes, sir.
I'm Sam Perrin with the Middle Georgia Regional Commission. I've been working with Robert Smith on the application for the Revitalization Area Strategies designation. So just wanted to let you know, if you had any questions about it or anything, I'm happy to help.
Thank you for your assistance.
Yes, sir.
On that. We take all the help we can get.
Thank you.
Y'all are very good at getting it to us. Thank you. Would anyone else like to address council? Yes, sir.
This is Mayor Robert Jackson, Perry, Georgia. Again, to the mayor, council, and attorney, the manager, and the new attorney. But anyway, again, the Board of Education, as far as their role, have you all gotten with them as far as any kind of strategy or anything since the last time I approached you all as far as trying to get another road into the Hilltop area?
No, sir. Not to my knowledge. No.
Okay. Well, I hope that you are working on it. Are you working over this?
Well, Mr. Jackson, the Board of Education owns that property. And without us using the right of eminent domain, which I'm not sure would apply here, they can pretty much do with it what they want on that. It's it would take a fair amount of funding to construct a road of any length from that standpoint, even though one is desperately needed. I do not know what the Board of Education's future plans are for that property. Once that is determined, we might have an opportunity to request that happen from that standpoint. But the ballpark, the point is really in their ballpark from that standpoint. We can make an inquiry, but I hesitate only because if I make an inquiry, then the first thing they're going to say is, well, what is it you want to do? And if I say construct a road, and then we don't have the funding or the money ready for that capital improvement at this time, we don't want to ask for something that we can't follow through with, and we don't have the money for that at this particular point in time. We do have a capital improvement budget that is, I don't know, $40 million or something like that from that standpoint that we typically prioritize from the SPLOST standpoint, the Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax, which is what we use to fund quite a bit of our capital improvements, and that would certainly fall into that particular category. Right now, it's not on the radar on that, even though it would be a needed item for that particular subdivision.
Well, one other thing, they did say that the proposal that I did to you and to them, they said they're too close to the gymnasium. But they did say that they were donating some land to the city by the ballpark as far as over the old football field in that area over there. So that's why I was kind of wondering, have they mentioned anything to you about that?
Mr. Gilmore, have you heard anything from the Board of Education concerning that?
No, sir, but we'll follow up
We'll be glad, we'll follow up on that.
That's good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to address council? Thank you. Item 14 of mayor items. A couple of things, council, I wanted to remind you of. Former Councilman Joe Posey is sponsoring a St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital benefit fundraiser. It's a golf tournament. I have brochures here. If anyone would like more information, it's going to be on May the 21st, 2016 at Cherokee Pines Golf and Fitness Club. It is in honor of Mary Elizabeth Paris, his granddaughter, who succumbed to cancer very recently. If you have any interest in that for either donations or participate in the event, please let me know, and you're welcome to take a brochure that explains about that particular event. Along those lines, CASA of Houston County is also sponsoring a golf tournament that will happen on Wednesday, March 30, 2016 at Southern Landings Golf Club at Statham's Landing at 10:30 a.m. This is Putts and Pucks for the kids. The Macon Mayhem is hockey team out of Macon is joining CASA of Houston County for the benefit of the kids in another golf tournament. I have information concerning that. If you like to play golf, you have a lot of opportunity in order to help other people at this particular point in time. Some other dates. Houston County Development Authority will have their industry appreciation reception recognizing Houston County's premium manufacturers on April the 21st, 2016 at Go Fish. I understand that there is a conflicting item, Mr. Walker, for Senator Tollison.
Right.
For the Boy Scouts are honoring him that same night.
The Golden Eagle Award.
The Golden Eagle Award on that. So there are some other opportunities for you to get involved. The Fort Valley State University is sponsoring their 2016 Ham and Egg Legislative Breakfast in the Georgia Agricultural Showcase Tuesday, April the 5th, 2016 at 8 a.m. on site. I have information concerning that if you are interested as well. The other item I have, council, has to do with our first regularly scheduled meeting for April. It will be on the 5th, which is the first Tuesday. Mr. Holbert, do you have any information concerning this? Because if what I'm about to say is going to be countered by you, I just won't say it.
No, we feel good about what you're about to say.
Our charter, again, states that the mayor or the mayor pro tempore have to be in attendance and preside over an official city council meeting. Our charter also states that we meet on the first and third Tuesdays of each month. As it turns out, I have a conflict on April the 5th, and so does Mayor pro tempore Randall Walker. His conflict has been set for a year or something like that. Mine is much more recent, but it has to do with my job, and since they pay me more than the city does, I'm going to pay attention to them. Well, that is true. Because of that, we have a conflict, and since neither one of us are available to conduct the meeting, we technically can't have it on April the 5th. So the proposal is to move the council meeting backwards 1 week to March the 29th, the Tuesday before. We generally have a work session on the nights before that, so we are proposing to also move the work session that would normally be held on April the 4th to Monday, March the 28th. Do we need to vote on this, Mr. Holbert?
No.
Just have concurrence
Yeah.
to do it? Well, with council's concurrence, I would like to set our first meeting in April that will actually be at the end of March. Normally that would be held on the work session April 4th and the council meeting on April 5th, for the new dates to be Monday, March 28th and Tuesday, March 29th. With that concurrence from council, so be it.
Agreed.
Thank you. And for what it's worth, Ms. Bynum Grace is not going to be here that week anyway, the 5th. So she's going to be out of town. We got to make sure that she participates. It also means, if I'm not mistaken, that is also the night of Tuesday, March the 29th, we had regularly scheduled our walk with mayor and council. So instead of walking, we're going to meet. We'll have to postpone that until April or some other time that is beneficial for the citizens and for council. I believe that's all I have at this time. So, if there's nothing further to come before us, thank you for your interest and participation. We stand adjourned.